Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something that literally affects millions of people every single day. And yet, so many of us don't even realize the real cause behind it. I'm talking about acidity, that burning, uncomfortable feeling in your chest, the bloating, sometimes even that sour taste that just ruins your mood. And what's shocking is that a lot of the time, the foods we eat are silently triggering this discomfort. So, if you've ever woken up feeling bloated, struggled to sleep because of that burning sensation, or found yourself constantly reaching for anticides, this video is going to change the way you think about your diet. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which foods to avoid if you want to keep your digestive system happy, healthy, and acid-free. 1. Pizza. Let's start by talking about one of the most universally loved foods, pizza. I mean, who doesn't love that gooey, cheesy, hot slice fresh out of the oven? It's delicious, comforting, and often considered a go-to meal for celebrations, movie nights, or just satisfying a craving. But if you're someone who struggles with acidity or heartburn, pizza can sometimes feel like the enemy rather than the treat. Today, I want to break down exactly why pizza is such a common trigger for acid reflux, heartburn, and digestive discomfort. First, let's talk about the cheese. Cheese is one of pizza's main ingredients, and while it's a huge part of what makes pizza so satisfying, it's also a culprit for triggering acidity. Cheese is very high in fat, and fat is one of the biggest factors that slow down digestion. When your stomach is digesting a fatty meal, it takes longer for the food to leave your stomach. While this sounds harmless, the longer food sits in your stomach, the more acid your stomach produces to try to break it down. This extra acid can sometimes escape up into your esophagus, causing that familiar burning sensation known as heartburn. And if the pizza has extra cheese, which most people love, that fat content increases even more, making your stomach work overtime. Now, let's move on to tomato sauce, which is another key ingredient in almost every pizza. Tomatoes are naturally acidic. Even if you've never had heartburn, eating raw tomatoes or tomato-based sauces can sometimes leave a slightly sour or uncomfortable feeling in your stomach. When tomatoes are cooked into a pizza sauce, the acidity doesn't go away completely. In fact, when combined with the cheese and other fatty ingredients, this acidity can become more potent in your stomach. For people prone to acid reflux, the combination of greasy cheese and acidic tomato sauce creates the perfect storm for triggering heartburn. Next, we need to consider pizza toppings. Toppings like pepperoni, sausage, bacon, or jalapenos are common favorites, but they can also add to the problem. Many of these toppings are high in fat or are processed meats. Fatty foods, as I mentioned before, slow down digestion. And processed meats often contain preservatives that can irritate the stomach lining. Spicy toppings, on the other hand, can directly irritate your stomach and esophagus, which increases the likelihood of acid reflux. So, when you pile your pizza with extra cheese, spicy peppers, and fatty meats, you're essentially doubling or even tripling the risk of that burning sensation after eating. Even the crust of the pizza can play a role. Thick, doughy crusts are high in carbohydrates. And while carbohydrates themselves aren't directly acidic, they can slow digestion if they're combined with a heavy, greasy topping. A thick crust baked with butter or oil increases the overall fat content of the meal. The heavier the meal, the more your stomach has to work, and the more acid it produces to break everything down. This is why people often feel uncomfortable or bloated after finishing a few slices of a large pizza. Another factor is portion size. Pizza is usually served in large slices or even whole pies, and it's easy to overeat because it tastes so good. Eating large amounts of food in one sitting puts extra pressure on the stomach, which can force acid up into the esophagus. This is one of the main reasons why heartburn often occurs, not just with pizza, but with other large, heavy meals as well. Overeating essentially overwhelms the stomach's ability to manage acid properly, and the result is discomfort that can last for hours. Now, let us touch on something a lot of people don't think about. The combination of ingredients in pizza can affect your gut microbiome over time. High-fat, high-processed foods like pizza can increase inflammation in the digestive tract, which can exacerbate heartburn and make your stomach more sensitive to other foods. So, if you're eating pizza frequently, not only are you risking occasional acid reflux, but you might also be setting your digestive system up for long-term discomfort. So, does this mean you can never enjoy pizza again? Absolutely not. Pizza doesn't have to be completely off limits. If you take a few precautions, First, portion control is key. Instead of eating 2 or 3 large slices in one sitting, try one slice with a side of salad or vegetables. Second, be mindful of your toppings. Opt for leaner proteins like grilled chicken instead of fatty pepperoni. And go easy on the spicy ingredients if you know you're prone to acid reflux. Third, consider the crust. Thin crust or whole wheat options are easier on the stomach than thick, buttery crusts. You can also pair your pizza with water or a non-acidic beverage rather than soda or alcohol, which can worsen heartburn. And if cheese is your favorite part, consider requesting a lighter layer or a low-fat version. These small adjustments can make a big difference in how your stomach handles the pizza without completely sacrificing taste. In summary, pizza can cause acidity mainly because of its combination of high-fat cheese, acidic tomato sauce, and sometimes spicy or processed toppings. The fat slows digestion, the acidity stimulates more stomach acid, and large portions put extra pressure on the stomach, all of which can lead to heartburn. However, with portion control, careful topping choices, and a mindful approach to crust and beverages, pizza can still be enjoyed without triggering acid reflux. So, next time you're about to grab a slice of pizza, remember these tips. Enjoy it mindfully, choose toppings wisely, and maybe keep a glass of water handy. That way, you can have your favorite comfort food without paying the price later with acidity or heartburn. 2. Fried foods. Let's talk about one of the most common culprits behind acidity. Fried foods. I'm talking about French fries, fried chicken, pakoras, samosas, onion rings, basically anything that's deep fried and golden brown. Now, I know fried foods are delicious, crispy, and addictive, and most of us indulge in them at some point, whether it's as a snack, street food, or part of a meal. But here's the thing. While fried foods taste amazing, they can wreak havoc on your stomach and are one of the most common triggers for acid reflux and heartburn. Today, I want to break down exactly why fried foods cause acidity, how they affect your digestive system, and what you can do to enjoy them occasionally without discomfort. First, let's understand what happens when we eat fried foods. Fried foods are very high in fat. The oil used to fry the food gets absorbed into the food itself, making it heavy and calorie-dense. Fat is one of the nutrients that take the longest to digest. When your stomach is processing high-fat meals, the digestion process slows down significantly. This means that food stays in your stomach for a longer period of time. While the food is sitting in your stomach, your body continues to produce stomach acid to break it down. This is normal, but when fat slows digestion, the stomach keeps producing acid for longer than usual. That extra acid can sometimes escape up into the esophagus, causing that burning sensation we know as heartburn. Fried foods are also usually cooked at very high temperatures, which makes them hard for the stomach to break down efficiently. Think about it. A deep-fried pakora or French fry is crisp and crunchy on the outside, but inside, it's dense and fatty. Your stomach has to work much harder to break this food down. This increased workload can put stress on your digestive system and increase acid production even further. The result is discomfort, bloating, and sometimes even nausea, especially if you're prone to acidity or have a sensitive stomach. Another factor to consider is portion size. Fried foods are often served in large quantities, whether it's a large plate of fries, a basket of fried chicken wings, or multiple samosas at a gathering. Overeating fried foods is common. When you eat a large, heavy fried meal, it puts additional pressure on your stomach. This pressure can force acid upward into your esophagus, leading to acid reflux. Even if the food itself wasn't extremely acidic, the sheer volume and fat content can trigger heartburn. That's why many people notice that after a big fried meal, they feel bloated, uncomfortable, or experience a burning sensation in their chest. It's not just the fat that's the problem. Fried foods are also low in fiber. Fiber is essential for smooth digestion and helps food move through your digestive system efficiently. When you eat fried foods without enough fiber, your digestion slows down even more. Slow digestion means your stomach keeps producing acid for longer periods, which increases the likelihood of acid reflux. This is also why pairing fried foods with fiber-rich foods like salad, vegetables, or whole grains can help reduce the risk of heartburn. Fried foods can also irritate the stomach lining directly. The high temperature of cooking and the type of oils used, especially if they're reused multiple times, can be harsh on the digestive tract. Some oils, particularly those high in saturated or trans fats, can increase inflammation in the stomach lining and weaken the lower esophageal sphincter. The lower esophageal sphincter is the muscle that separates your stomach from your esophagus and prevents acid from flowing back up. If this muscle is weakened or relaxed, acid can easily escape upward, causing that painful burning sensation. Spices, often added to fried foods, can make the problem worse. Many fried snacks, like pakoras or spicy fried chicken, contain chili, black pepper, or other strong spices. While these spices add flavor and heat, they can also irritate the stomach lining and increase acid production. For someone already prone to acidity, adding spicy fried foods to the mix can trigger heartburn almost immediately. Even milder fried foods, if eaten in excess, can still lead to digestive discomfort due to the high fat content. Another hidden factor is the combination of fried foods with other triggers. Often, fried foods are paired with carbonated drinks, sauces, or dips. Soda or fizzy drinks add pressure to the stomach and increase the risk of acid reflux. Sauces that are high in sugar or tomato-based sauces add extra acidity. Together, these combinations can turn a tasty meal into a recipe for heartburn. This is why it's common to see people feel uncomfortable after eating fast food meals that include fried items, soda, and condiments. Now, let's talk about the long-term effects. Regular consumption of fried foods doesn't just lead to occasional heartburn. It can cause chronic digestive problems over time. Frequent exposure to high-fat fried foods can contribute to gastritis, inflammation of the stomach lining, and even increase the risk of gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. The inflammation from fried foods makes your stomach more sensitive, so you may start experiencing heartburn even with smaller or less fatty meals. This is why many doctors recommend limiting fried food consumption if you're prone to acidity. So, does this mean you can never eat fried foods again? Absolutely not. The key is moderation and making smarter choices. Here are a few tips to enjoy fried foods without causing severe acidity. First, control portion sizes. Instead of eating a large basket of fries or multiple pieces of fried chicken, limit yourself to one small serving. Pair it with fresh vegetables or a salad to help balance the meal. Second, pay attention to the type of oil and the frying method. If you're making fried foods at home, try using healthier oils like olive oil or avocado oil. Also, consider shallow frying, air frying, or baking instead of deep frying. These methods reduce fat content and make digestion easier. Third, avoid eating fried foods on an empty stomach. Eating them after a balanced meal can help slow down their absorption and reduce acid production. Fourth, avoid pairing fried foods with carbonated drinks or acidic sauces. Opt for water or herbal tea instead, and keep condiments light and mild. Finally, listen to your body. Everyone's digestive system is different. Some people can eat fried foods occasionally without any issues, while others may feel heartburn after just a few bites. Paying attention to how your body reacts is the best way to prevent acidity while still enjoying your favorite snacks. In conclusion, fried foods are one of the biggest triggers for acidity because they are high in fat, slow down digestion, irritate the stomach lining, and can weaken the lower esophageal sphincter. Large portions, high-temperature cooking, spicy ingredients, and pairing with acidic drinks or sauces all make the problem worse. However, with moderation, smart cooking methods, and portion control, you can still enjoy fried foods without constantly suffering from heartburn or acid reflux. So next time you reach for that plate of fries or a crispy pakora, remember these tips. Eat in moderation, pair with fiber-rich foods, drink water, and be mindful of how your stomach reacts. By doing this, you can enjoy fried foods occasionally without letting acidity ruin the experience. 3. Coffee. Let's talk about coffee, the magical drink that fuels millions of people every morning. For many, it's not just a beverage. It's a ritual, a comfort, and sometimes even a lifeline to start the day. But here's the thing. If you're prone to acidity or heartburn, coffee can be one of the biggest culprits. I'm not saying you have to give up coffee forever, but understanding why it triggers acidity and how to manage it is super important. So, let's break it down. First, let's start with the basics. Coffee is naturally acidic. The beans themselves contain organic acids, like chlorogenic acid, which give coffee its bright, slightly tangy flavor. This acidity is fine for many people, but if your stomach is sensitive, it can easily tip the balance and lead to increased acid production. When you drink coffee, your stomach senses the acidity and starts producing more gastric acid to digest food efficiently. For someone who already struggles with acid reflux or a weak lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that keeps stomach acid from flowing back into the esophagus, this extra acid can quickly become a problem. Another important factor is caffeine. Coffee is one of the most popular sources of caffeine in the world, and caffeine is a natural stimulant. While it wakes you up and boosts energy, it also stimulates your stomach to produce more acid. That's why many people notice a burning sensation in their chest shortly after a strong cup of coffee. It's not just the taste, it's the chemical reaction happening in your digestive system. The more caffeine your coffee contains, the higher the likelihood that it will trigger acid reflux, especially if consumed on an empty stomach. Now let's talk about the way people usually drink coffee. Many of us drink it first thing in the morning before eating anything else. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach is one of the worst things you can do if you're prone to acidity. Without food to buffer it, the acid and caffeine hit your stomach lining directly. This can irritate the stomach, increase acid production, and sometimes even cause bloating or mild nausea. It's a common pattern. A person wakes up, drinks coffee, feels that burning sensation in their chest or throat, and doesn't even realize that coffee is the trigger. The type of coffee also matters. Espresso, cappuccino, and other strong concentrated forms of coffee tend to have more caffeine and acidity compared to lighter roasts or decaf options. Dark roasts, interestingly, have slightly lower acidity, but can still stimulate acid production due to caffeine. Flavored coffees, sweetened lattes, or drinks with cream and syrups add fat and sugar to the mix, which can further slow digestion and contribute to acid reflux. So, it's not just the coffee itself, it's also what you add to it that can make the difference. Another factor to consider is your body's individual sensitivity. Everyone's digestive system reacts differently. Some people can drink multiple cups of coffee a day without any issues, while others may feel heartburn after a single cup. If you've noticed that coffee consistently triggers that burning sensation or bloating, it's a clear sign that your stomach is sensitive to caffeine and acidity. Ignoring this warning can make acid reflux worse over time. So, what can you do to enjoy coffee without constantly suffering from acidity? First, timing is key. Try not to drink coffee on an empty stomach. Having it alongside food, such as toast, oatmeal, or fruit, can buffer the acid and reduce irritation. Second, consider switching to Lacid coffee varieties. Many brands offer Lacid blends specifically designed for people with sensitive stomachs. Third, watch your caffeine intake. Opt for lighter roasts, decaf, or smaller servings if you notice that strong coffee triggers heartburn. The way you prepare your coffee also matters. Filtered coffee, pour-over, or cold brew methods tend to produce slightly lower acidity than espresso or French press. Cold brew, in particular, is known to be gentler on the stomach because it's brewed slowly with cold water, reducing the overall acidity. Experimenting with different brewing methods can help you find a version of coffee that you enjoy without the uncomfortable burning sensation afterward. It's also helpful to avoid adding too much cream, sugar, or flavorings. Heavy creams and syrups add fat and sugar to your stomach, which can slow digestion and worsen acid reflux. If you like milk in your coffee, try plant-based options like oat milk or almond milk, which are easier on the stomach. Small changes like this can make a big difference in preventing acidity. Lastly, listen to your body. If you notice that certain types of coffee, certain quantities, or certain times of day trigger acidity, take note and adjust accordingly. You don't have to give up your morning ritual entirely. You just need to be smart about how and when you drink it. Some people find that having 1 cup in the morning with breakfast, rather than multiple cups on an empty stomach, works perfectly for them. In conclusion, coffee can trigger acidity because it's naturally acidic, stimulates excess acid production, and contains caffeine, which further stimulates your stomach. Drinking it on an empty stomach, consuming strong or highly caffeinated blends, or adding heavy creams and syrups can make the problem worse. But with small adjustments, like drinking coffee with food, choosing Lacid or decaf blends, and paying attention to your body's reactions, you can still enjoy your favorite beverage without suffering from heartburn or acid reflux. So, next time you sip your morning cup of coffee, remember these tips. Enjoy it mindfully, pair it with food, and experiment with different types and brewing methods to keep your stomach happy. That way, you can continue to enjoy your daily caffeine boost without the discomfort of acidity afterward. For chocolate, just the word can make most people smile, right? Whether it's a chocolate bar, a dessert, or hot cocoa on a chilly evening, chocolate is one of the most loved treats worldwide. But here's the tricky part. While chocolate is delicious, it can also be a major trigger for acidity and heartburn. Today, I want to break down why chocolate affects your stomach, what happens in your digestive system when you eat it, and how you can enjoy it without constantly suffering from acid reflux. Let's start with what chocolate is made of. Most chocolate contains cocoa, sugar, and fat. Some chocolate also contains caffeine or theobromine, both of which are natural stimulants. Individually, these components aren't harmful in moderation, but together, they can have a direct effect on your stomach and esophagus. First, cocoa itself contains natural acids. Just like coffee or citrus fruits, cocoa has compounds that stimulate your stomach to produce more acid. While a small amount of cocoa may not affect everyone, if you're prone to heartburn, even a single bite of chocolate can trigger that burning sensation in your chest or throat. It's subtle at first, but after eating larger quantities, the effect becomes more noticeable. Next, the fat content in chocolate plays a big role. Chocolate, especially milk chocolate, is high in fat. Fat slows down digestion, meaning your stomach has to work longer to break down the food. While it's sitting there, your stomach continues to produce acid. And if that acid finds its way back into the esophagus, you get heartburn. Dark chocolate, which has higher cocoa content, can be less fatty than milk chocolate, but it still contains stimulants like caffeine and theobromine that can trigger acid production. Now, let's talk about caffeine and theobromine. Both of these compounds are natural stimulants found in chocolate. Caffeine, as we know, can increase stomach acid production. Theobromine, a compound unique to cocoa, can relax the lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that separates your stomach from your esophagus. When this muscle relaxes, it's much easier for stomach acid to travel upward, causing that uncomfortable burning sensation we call heartburn. Essentially, chocolate hits you with a double effect: more acid in your stomach and an easier path for it to escape into the esophagus. The amount of chocolate you eat also matters. Many people think that a small bite won't hurt, but if you consume chocolate in large quantities, like finishing an entire chocolate bar, a rich dessert, or hot cocoa with cream, you're stacking fat, sugar, and stimulants in your stomach. Larger portions increase stomach pressure and further delay digestion, making acid reflux more likely. Chocolate is often combined with other acidity triggers. Think about chocolate desserts, chocolate cake, brownies, or chocolate milkshakes. These are often high in sugar and sometimes paired with coffee, whipped cream, or syrups. Sugar itself can slow digestion and affect gut flora, potentially worsening acidity. Heavy cream adds extra fat, which, as we discussed, slows digestion. So when you eat chocolate in these forms, you're not just eating chocolate, you're eating a combination of fat, sugar, and stimulants that all work together to increase the risk of heartburn. Another interesting factor is timing. Many people eat chocolate at night or after a large meal. Eating chocolate right before bed is especially risky for those prone to acidity. When you lie down, it's easier for stomach acid to flow back into your esophagus. Chocolate's ability to relax the lower esophageal sphincter makes this effect even stronger. That's why people often wake up in the middle of the night with heartburn after indulging in chocolate in the evening. Even the type of chocolate matters. Dark chocolate contains more cocoa and less sugar, which can make it slightly better for some people, but it still contains theobromine and fat. Milk chocolate is higher in fat and sugar, which increases acid production and slows digestion. White chocolate, while caffeine-free, is extremely high in fat and sugar, which can also trigger acid reflux. Essentially, there's no chocolate completely free of risk if you're sensitive to acidity, but moderation and careful selection can help. So, does this mean you have to give up chocolate completely? Absolutely not. You can still enjoy chocolate. You just need to be mindful. First, portion control is key. Instead of finishing an entire bar, have a small piece or two. Second, avoid chocolate right before bed and don't eat it on an empty stomach. Third, choose lower fat or higher cocoa content chocolate, which tends to be easier on the stomach. Dark chocolate, with 70% cocoa, eaten in moderation, may be a better choice for some people. Pairing chocolate with other foods can also help reduce its impact. Eating chocolate alongside fiber-rich foods like fruits, nuts, or oatmeal can help slow digestion and prevent acid from building up too quickly. Drinking water with chocolate can help neutralize acid and aid digestion as well. Avoid combining chocolate with coffee or other highly acidic drinks if you know you're prone to heartburn. In conclusion, chocolate can trigger acidity because it contains fat, stimulants like caffeine and theobromine, and sometimes high sugar content, all of which can increase acid production and relax the lower esophageal sphincter. Large portions, late-night consumption, and combining it with other acidic foods or drinks can make the problem worse. But with careful choices, small portions, mindful timing, selecting high cocoa or lower-fat chocolate, and pairing it with neutral foods, you can still enjoy chocolate without constantly suffering from heartburn. So next time you crave chocolate, remember these tips. Enjoy it mindfully, pay attention to how your stomach reacts, and choose the type and timing wisely. That way, you can indulge in your favorite treat without the discomfort of acidity afterward. 5. Citrus fruits. Let's talk about citrus fruits. Oranges, lemons, grapefruits, limes, and even some tomato-based foods. These fruits are packed with vitamin C, antioxidants, and refreshing flavors that we all love. They're considered super healthy for immunity and overall wellness. But here's the catch. If you're prone to acidity or heartburn, citrus fruits can sometimes be a major trigger. Today, I want to break down why citrus fruits cause acidity, what's happening in your digestive system, and how you can enjoy them without discomfort. First, let's understand why citrus fruits are inherently acidic. Citrus fruits contain high amounts of citric acid. Citric acid gives them their tangy, zesty flavor, and while it's great for taste and nutrition, it's not always gentle on the stomach. When you eat or drink citrus, the acid directly stimulates your stomach to produce more gastric acid. For someone with a sensitive stomach or a weak lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that keeps stomach acid from flowing back into the esophagus, this extra acid can easily lead to heartburn. The acidity isn't the only issue. Citrus fruits can also irritate the esophagus directly. If your esophagus is already inflamed from previous acid reflux, even small amounts of citrus juice can cause a burning sensation. That's why some people notice that drinking orange juice in the morning triggers discomfort, especially on an empty stomach. The combination of direct irritation and increased stomach acid makes citrus fruits a common trigger for heartburn. Another factor to consider is timing. Many people consume citrus first thing in the morning as juice or in smoothies. Drinking orange juice on an empty stomach may seem refreshing, but for people prone to acidity, it can be a fast track to heartburn. Without food to buffer the acid, your stomach lining is exposed directly to the citrus acid, which can stimulate excess gastric acid production and irritate your digestive tract. The result, that familiar burning sensation in the chest or throat. Citrus fruits are often combined with other acidic foods or beverages, which can make the problem worse. For example, citrus smoothies may include tomatoes, pineapple, or yogurt, and sometimes a splash of coffee or carbonated water is added. Each of these ingredients increases acidity, and together they can create a powerful trigger for heartburn. Even eating citrus after a large, fatty meal can increase the likelihood of acid reflux because your stomach is already working hard to digest other foods. Portion size also matters. A single slice of orange is unlikely to cause major problems for most people. But drinking an entire glass of orange juice or eating multiple citrus fruits in one sitting significantly increases acid load on the stomach. Large quantities of citrus can overstimulate acid production, slow down digestion, and put pressure on the lower esophageal sphincter, allowing acid to travel back into the esophagus. That's why moderation is key when it comes to citrus and acidity. It's also important to note that some people are more sensitive to citrus than others. Individual tolerance varies, and factors like existing digestive conditions, stomach sensitivity, or frequent acid reflux episodes can make citrus fruits more problematic. For some people, even a small slice of lemon in water can trigger burning sensations, while others may consume citrus freely without any issue. Paying attention to your body's reactions is crucial in determining how much citrus you can tolerate. So, how can you enjoy citrus without triggering acidity? First, timing is essential. Avoid consuming citrus on an empty stomach. Pair citrus fruits with a small meal or snack to buffer the acid. For example, enjoy an orange with some whole grain toast, nuts, or yogurt. This helps slow down acid production and reduces irritation in your stomach and esophagus. Second, consider portion control. A single small fruit or a small glass of diluted citrus juice is usually safe for most people. Avoid drinking large quantities at once. You can also try mixing citrus juice with water to lower its acidity before consuming it. For example, half a glass of orange juice diluted with water can be gentler on your stomach. Third, pay attention to combinations. Avoid pairing citrus with other highly acidic foods or beverages, such as coffee, tomato-based dishes, or carbonated drinks. Eating citrus after a heavy, greasy meal can also increase acid reflux, so try to consume it separately or with lighter foods. Some people find that cooked or baked citrus is easier on the stomach than raw fruit or juice. For example, citrus zest or lightly baked citrus in desserts or recipes may be less likely to cause acid reflux because the heat can slightly reduce acidity. You can experiment with different forms of citrus to see what works best for you. In conclusion, citrus fruits can trigger acidity because of their high citric acid content, direct irritation of the esophagus, and stimulation of excess stomach acid. Drinking citrus on an empty stomach, consuming large portions, or combining citrus with other acidic foods or beverages increases the likelihood of heartburn. However, with mindful consumption, portion control, proper timing, and pairing with other foods, you can still enjoy the nutritional benefits and refreshing taste of citrus fruits without discomfort. So, next time you reach for an orange, a lemon in water, or a grapefruit in your smoothie, remember these tips. Eat them with food, keep portions moderate, and be mindful of how your stomach reacts. That way, you can enjoy the tangy, zesty goodness of citrus without worrying about acidity or heartburn. 6. Spicy foods. Let's talk about spicy foods. We all know them, those fiery dishes that make our taste buds tingle, bring a rush of flavor, and sometimes even make us reach for water or yogurt to cool down. From chili-laden curries to hot sauces, jalapenos, cayenne peppers, and even spicy snacks. These foods are a staple in many cultures around the world. They're bold, delicious, and satisfying. But if you're prone to acidity or heartburn, spicy foods can be one of the biggest triggers for digestive discomfort. Today, I want to explain exactly why spicy foods can cause acidity, what happens in your stomach when you eat them, and how you can enjoy spice without constantly suffering from heartburn. The main culprit in spicy foods is capsaicin, the compound that gives chili peppers and other spices their heat. Capsaicin doesn't just add flavor. It has a direct impact on your digestive system. When you eat spicy foods, capsaicin can irritate the lining of your stomach and esophagus. For someone with a sensitive stomach or an already inflamed esophagus, this irritation can trigger a burning sensation almost immediately. That's the familiar heartburn you feel after eating a very spicy meal. Capsaicin also slows down the rate at which your stomach empties, meaning food stays in your stomach longer, giving more time for acid to build up. Spicy foods also increase acid production in the stomach. When the stomach senses irritation from capsaicin or other spices, it responds by producing more gastric acid to help break down the food. For many people, this excess acid is fine and doesn't cause any symptoms. But if you're prone to acid reflux, this extra acid can easily travel up into the esophagus, causing the classic burning sensation, bloating, and discomfort. It's a double effect: irritation plus increased acid, which makes heartburn more likely. Another factor is the combination of spicy foods with other ingredients. Many spicy dishes are also high in fat, such as creamy curries, fried snacks coated with chili powders, or meats cooked with rich sauces. Fat slows down digestion, which compounds the effects of increased acid production. Slow digestion plus excess acid equals a higher chance of heartburn. So, it's not just the spice itself. It's the combination of fat, spice, and sometimes even sugar that can make the problem worse. Timing plays a role as well. Many people eat spicy meals in the evening or right before bed. This is especially risky for those prone to acidity because lying down makes it easier for stomach acid to flow back into the esophagus. Combine that with the fact that spicy foods relax the lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that keeps acid in your stomach, and you have a recipe for nighttime heartburn. Eating spicy foods earlier in the day, when you're upright and active, can help minimize these effects. Portion size is another consideration. Eating a small amount of spice might be tolerable for most people, but consuming large quantities of hot, fiery dishes can overwhelm your stomach. Large portions put extra pressure on the stomach and can increase acid reflux. That's why many people notice that eating a few bites of spicy food is fine. But a full plate of very spicy curry or multiple chili-laden snacks can trigger severe burning and discomfort. Spicy foods can also exacerbate existing digestive conditions, such as gastritis, acid reflux, or ulcers. If your stomach lining is already inflamed or sensitive, adding capsaicin can worsen symptoms and prolong healing. Even moderate amounts of spice may trigger heartburn more easily in these cases. That's why it's important to know your own tolerance levels and adjust accordingly. Many people also combine spicy foods with other common acidity triggers, such as carbonated drinks, coffee, or alcohol. Pairing a spicy meal with soda or beer can increase stomach pressure and acidity, making heartburn more likely. Similarly, consuming highly acidic sauces, such as tomato-based hot sauces, along with spicy dishes, can worsen the irritation and acid buildup. So, it's not just the spice eats, how you consume it, and what you pair it with that matters. So, how can you enjoy spicy foods without constantly suffering from acidity? First, portion control is key. You don't need to eliminate spice entirely. Instead, moderate the amount you consume. Start with mild spices and gradually increase as your tolerance allows. Second, be mindful of timing. Avoid eating very spicy meals right before bed and give yourself a few hours before lying down. Third, pair spicy foods with neutral or fiber-rich foods like rice, bread, or vegetables to help buffer acid and aid digestion. Another useful tip is to drink something cooling like water, milk, or a yogurt-based side, along with your spicy food. Dairy can help neutralize acid and reduce irritation in the stomach. Avoid carbonated drinks or alcohol while eating spicy foods, as these can worsen heartburn. If you're cooking at home, consider reducing chili powder, cayenne, or hot sauces, and opt for herbs and milder spices that still add flavor without overstimulating acid production. In conclusion, spicy foods trigger acidity because capsaicin irritates the stomach and esophagus, increases acid production, slows digestion, and relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter. Large portions, timing especially eating before bed, fatty additions, and pairing with acidic drinks can all worsen the problem. However, with moderation, smart timing, proper pairing with neutral foods, and attention to portion sizes, you can still enjoy spice without constant heartburn. So, next time you reach for that fiery curry, jalapeno snack, or hot sauce-covered dish, remember these tips. Eat mindfully, pair with neutral foods, and pay attention to how your body reacts. This way you can enjoy the bold flavors of spice without the uncomfortable after effects of acidity. 7. Carbonated drinks. Let's talk about carbonated drinks, sodas, fizzy drinks, sparkling water, and all those bubbly beverages that have become a staple in modern life. From soda with fast food to sparkling drinks at parties, we all enjoy that fizzy, refreshing sensation. But here's the problem. If you're prone to acidity or heartburn, carbonated drinks can be one of the sneaky triggers that make your digestive system uncomfortable. Today, I want to explain why carbonation can cause acidity. What happens in your stomach when you drink these fizzy beverages, and how you can still enjoy them occasionally without triggering acid reflux. First, let's break down what carbonated drinks really are. The fizz comes from carbon dioxide gas dissolved in the liquid under pressure. When you open a soda or pour a fizzy drink into a glass, that gas is released in the form of bubbles. While carbonation makes drinks fun and refreshing, those bubbles can increase pressure in your stomach. Think of your stomach as a small balloon. Adding carbon dioxide gas is like inflating it a little. This extra pressure pushes against the lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that separates your stomach from your esophagus. When this muscle is under pressure, it can relax or open slightly, allowing stomach acid to flow back up into the esophagus. That's the main reason why carbonated drinks often trigger heartburn. The problem gets worse when carbonated drinks contain sugar or artificial sweeteners. Sugary sodas, energy drinks, and flavored fizzy beverages increase acid production in the stomach. Sugar slows down digestion, which means food stays in your stomach longer, giving more time for acid to accumulate. Artificial sweeteners, while low-calorie, can sometimes irritate the digestive system in sensitive individuals, leading to bloating and discomfort. So, when you combine carbonation with sugar, it creates the perfect recipe for acid reflux. Many people drink carbonated beverages with meals, which is another factor that can worsen acidity. When you drink soda with a heavy fatty meal, the combination of fat and carbonation increases pressure in the stomach. Fat slows digestion, while carbonation adds gas and expands the stomach. This combination pushes acid upward, causing heartburn. Even drinking carbonated drinks on an empty stomach can be a problem, because the acid in the stomach isn't buffered by food and the carbonation still adds pressure. Acidic content in carbonated drinks also contributes to the problem. Many sodas and fizzy drinks are acidic themselves, with phosphoric acid, citric acid, or carbonation-related acidity. When you drink these beverages, you're adding more acid to your stomach, which can irritate the lining and make heartburn more likely. For people with sensitive stomachs or chronic acid reflux, even small amounts of carbonated drinks can trigger discomfort. Another hidden factor is temperature. Many people drink very cold carbonated beverages, which can slow digestion slightly because your stomach has to warm the liquid before it can process it efficiently. Cold drinks may also irritate the esophagus in some individuals, adding another layer of potential discomfort. Let's also talk about frequency. Some people consume carbonated drinks multiple times a day, with breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner. Repeated exposure to carbonation, acid, and sugar can weaken the lower esophageal sphincter over time, making it easier for acid to flow upward and causing chronic heartburn. This is why habitual soda drinkers are often more prone to acidity than those who drink fizzy beverages occasionally. So, how can you enjoy carbonated drinks without constantly suffering from acidity? First, moderation is key. Instead of drinking large bottles of soda in one sitting, try a small glass occasionally. Sipping slowly rather than gulping quickly can also reduce the pressure buildup in your stomach. Second, consider alternatives. Sparkling water without added sugar or flavoring can satisfy the desire for fizz without extra acid or sugar. If you like flavored drinks, try infusing sparkling water with fruit slices for a gentle, low-acid alternative. Timing is also important. Avoid drinking carbonated drinks with very heavy or fatty meals, and try not to consume them right before lying down or going to bed. Standing or sitting upright after drinking helps gravity keep the stomach contents in place, reducing the risk of acid reflux. Another helpful tip is pairing carbonated drinks with a small amount of food. Having some fiber or neutral foods like bread, crackers, or fruits while drinking fizzy beverages can help buffer acid and slow digestion. Avoid pairing them with coffee, alcohol, or highly acidic foods, as this combination can exacerbate heartburn. For those prone to acidity, it's also useful to observe your individual tolerance. Some people can drink a small glass of soda occasionally without issues, while others may feel immediate burning or bloating after just a sip. Paying attention to your body's reactions will help you enjoy carbonated drinks safely. In conclusion, carbonated drinks trigger acidity because the gas increases stomach pressure, pushes acid upward, contains acidity and sometimes sugar, and can slow digestion. Large portions, frequent consumption, drinking with heavy meals, or consuming cold and sugary sodas all increase the risk of heartburn. However, with moderation, choosing acid or sugar-free options, drinking slowly, avoiding them with heavy meals, and paying attention to your body's response, you can still enjoy carbonation occasionally without constant digestive discomfort. So, next time you reach for a fizzy drink, remember these tips. Sip slowly, drink it with food or fiber-rich snacks. Choose acid options and enjoy the bubbles without letting acidity take over your digestive comfort. 8. Alcohol. Let's talk about alcohol. Whether it's a glass of wine, a cold beer, cocktails with friends, or even a celebratory drink, alcohol is a big part of social life for many people. It's relaxing, enjoyable, and can even feel like a treat after a long day. But here's the truth. Alcohol is one of the biggest triggers for acidity and heartburn. If you're prone to acid reflux or a sensitive stomach, drinking alcohol can quickly lead to discomfort, burning sensations, and bloating. Today, I want to break down why alcohol causes acidity, what happens in your digestive system when you drink it, and how you can enjoy a drink occasionally without triggering heartburn. First, let's understand how alcohol affects the stomach. Alcohol irritates the stomach lining. The stomach is coated with a protective layer of mucus that prevents acid from damaging it. When you drink alcohol, it can weaken this protective layer, making the stomach lining more sensitive to gastric acid. This irritation increases the likelihood of gastritis, inflammation of the stomach lining, and acid reflux. Essentially, alcohol makes your stomach more vulnerable to the acid it naturally produces, which can lead to that burning sensation we call heartburn. Alcohol also relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that separates your stomach from your esophagus. This muscle acts like a gatekeeper, keeping stomach acid in the stomach where it belongs. When you drink alcohol, this sphincter relaxes, allowing acid to flow backward into the esophagus. This is why many people notice heartburn shortly after drinking, especially if they've consumed a large amount or combined it with a heavy meal. The combination of irritation and relaxed sphincter creates a perfect storm for acid reflux. The type of alcohol you drink can also make a difference. Beer, wine, and cocktails are more acidic than spirits, like vodka or whiskey, which means they're more likely to increase stomach acid. Beer is carbonated, which adds pressure to the stomach and pushes acid upward, similar to sodas. Wine contains natural acids, especially white wine, which can trigger heartburn more easily in sensitive individuals. Cocktails often combine alcohol with sugary syrups or citrus juices, which further increase acidity and slow digestion, increasing the risk of reflux. Another factor is quantity. Drinking a small amount of alcohol may be tolerable for many people, but consuming large amounts in one sitting significantly increases the risk of acidity. The more alcohol you drink, the more it irritates your stomach lining, relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, and stimulates acid production. Over time, repeated episodes of alcohol-induced acidity can make your digestive system more sensitive, leading to more frequent heartburn, even with smaller amounts of alcohol. Timing is also crucial. Drinking alcohol on an empty stomach is a major trigger for acid reflux. Without food to buffer the alcohol, it hits your stomach directly, increasing irritation and acid production. Eating something before or while drinking alcohol can help reduce the impact on your stomach. Fatty or fried foods are not ideal as they slow digestion, but something neutral like bread, rice, or vegetables can act as a buffer and help protect your stomach lining. Alcohol can also affect your overall digestive system in other ways. It slows gastric emptying, which means your stomach takes longer to process food. When food and alcohol sit in your stomach for longer periods, your body produces more acid to break it down. This combination of delayed digestion, increased acid, and relaxed lower esophageal sphincter creates the perfect environment for acid reflux. Over time, chronic alcohol consumption can also lead to gastritis, inflammation, and more severe digestive problems. Many people combine alcohol with other acidity triggers without realizing it. Cocktails with citrus juice, wine with spicy meals, or beer with fried foods all increase the likelihood of heartburn. Sugary mixers, carbonation, and acidic additives compound the problem. Even moderate alcohol consumption can become a trigger when paired with these other factors. So, how can you enjoy alcohol without constantly suffering from acidity? First, moderation is key. Limit yourself to 1 or 2 drinks and avoid binge drinking. The more alcohol you consume in one sitting, the more your stomach lining is irritated and your lower esophageal sphincter is relaxed. Second, timing matters. Avoid drinking on an empty stomach. Eat something neutral beforehand. Third, choose your drinks wisely. Lower acid options like vodka, gin, or whiskey may be gentler on the stomach than beer or wine, but everyone's tolerance is different. Also, pay attention to mixers. Avoid sugary, carbonated, or citrus-based mixers if you're prone to acidity. Instead, try mixing alcohol with water, coconut water, or mild herbal teas. These options are less likely to increase acid production and reduce the risk of heartburn. Finally, listen to your body. Some people can tolerate a small glass of wine without any problem, while others feel burning immediately. Keeping track of what triggers your symptoms and adjusting your choices accordingly can make a big difference in enjoying alcohol safely. In conclusion, alcohol causes acidity because it irritates the stomach lining, relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, slows digestion, and, depending on the type, may increase acid content. Large amounts, drinking on an empty stomach, and combining alcohol with other acidic or spicy foods worsen the problem. However, with moderation, smart drink choices, careful timing, and attention to your body's reactions, you can still enjoy alcohol occasionally without constant heartburn or discomfort. So, next time you reach for that drink, remember these tips. Drink in moderation, choose lower acid options, eat before drinking, and be mindful of mixers. That way, you can enjoy social drinks without letting acidity ruin your digestive comfort. 9. Onions and garlic. Let's talk about onions and garlic. These two ingredients are kitchen staples, found in almost every cuisine around the world. They add flavor, aroma, and depth to dishes, and many people swear by their health benefits. But here's the tricky part. For people prone to acidity or heartburn, onions and garlic can be major culprits. Even though they are healthy, they can irritate the digestive system and trigger acid reflux. Today, I want to explain why onions and garlic cause acidity, what happens in your stomach when you eat them, and how you can enjoy them without discomfort. First, let's look at onions. Onions contain certain compounds, including fructans, which are types of carbohydrates that can be difficult to digest. When these compounds reach the stomach, they can ferment and produce gas, which increases pressure in your stomach. Increased pressure can push stomach acid upward into the esophagus, causing heartburn. Raw onions are particularly potent because they contain higher concentrations of these compounds. Cooked onions are often easier on the stomach, but even then, they can trigger acidity in sensitive individuals. Garlic has similar effects. Raw garlic contains sulfur compounds that are great for health, but can irritate the stomach lining and increase acid production. These compounds can also relax the lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that prevents acid from flowing back into the esophagus. When this muscle relaxes, it becomes easier for stomach acid to travel upward, resulting in heartburn. Some people notice this almost immediately after eating raw garlic, while others may feel it a few hours later. Both onions and garlic can also slow digestion. When digestion is delayed, the stomach produces more acid to break down food, which increases the chances of acid reflux. This effect is compounded when onions and garlic are used in heavy, fatty dishes, like creamy sauces, fried onion bhajis, or garlic butter dishes. Fat slows down digestion even more, which means the stomach is producing acid for a longer period. The combination of fat, onions, and garlic can be a perfect storm for heartburn. Timing and quantity also play a big role. Eating a small amount of onion or garlic occasionally may not trigger heartburn for many people. However, consuming large amounts, especially raw, can irritate the stomach and esophagus. Eating onions or garlic late at night is also a common problem. When you lie down, gravity is no longer helping to keep stomach acid in place, so the risk of acid reflux increases. That's why people often wake up in the middle of the night with heartburn after eating dishes rich in raw onions or garlic. Another factor is individual sensitivity. Some people can tolerate onions and garlic without any problems, while others may feel burning or bloating after even a small amount. People with pre-existing digestive conditions, such as gastritis, acid reflux, or irritable bowel syndrome, are more likely to be sensitive to onions and garlic. Paying attention to your body's reactions is key to managing acidity while still enjoying these flavorful ingredients. Onions and garlic are often paired with other acidity triggers, which can make the problem worse. For example, garlic bread, onion-laden curries, or pasta with garlic and cheese. Combine onions and garlic with fat and sometimes tomato-based sauces, which are acidic. This combination can overstimulate acid production, irritate the stomach lining, and trigger heartburn. Even foods like salad dressings or dips that contain raw garlic can be a hidden source of acidity for sensitive individuals. So, how can you enjoy onions and garlic without constantly suffering from acidity? First, consider cooking them instead of eating them raw. Cooking reduces the concentration of compounds that irritate the stomach, making them gentler on your digestive system. Sautéing, roasting, or lightly frying onions and garlic can retain flavor while reducing acidity triggers. Second, practice moderation. Instead of adding large amounts to a dish, use small quantities to impart flavor without overwhelming your stomach. This approach allows you to enjoy the taste of onions and garlic without causing heartburn. Third, timing matters. Avoid consuming large amounts of onions and garlic right before bed or on an empty stomach. Eating them with other neutral or fiber-rich foods can help buffer stomach acid and reduce irritation. For example, combining onions and garlic with rice, vegetables, or bread can slow digestion and make them easier to tolerate. Finally, pay attention to combinations. Avoid pairing onions and garlic with other known acidity triggers like spicy foods, citrus, or carbonated drinks if you're prone to heartburn. Being mindful of these combinations can make a big difference in managing acidity while still enjoying the flavor and health benefits of onions and garlic. In conclusion, onions and garlic can trigger acidity because they contain compounds that irritate the stomach lining, increase acid production, relax the lower esophageal sphincter, and slow digestion. Raw onions and garlic, large portions, late-night consumption, and pairing with fatty or acidic foods make the problem worse. However, with moderation, cooking, careful timing, and pairing with neutral foods, you can still enjoy the delicious flavor and health benefits of onions and garlic without constantly suffering from heartburn. So next time you add onions or garlic to your meals, remember these tips. Cook them lightly, eat them in moderation, pair with neutral foods, and be mindful of your body's reactions. This way, you can enjoy these flavorful ingredients without letting acidity ruin your digestive comfort. 10. Processed and packaged foods. Let's talk about processed and packaged foods. These are foods that have been altered from their natural state, often to increase shelf life, improve taste, or make them convenient to eat. Think of instant noodles, chips, ready-to-eat meals, packaged snacks, frozen foods, and even processed meats. They're everywhere in modern life because they're quick and convenient. But here's the reality. Processed and packaged foods can be a major trigger for acidity and digestive discomfort. If you're prone to heartburn, understanding why these foods affect your stomach is crucial. Today, I'll explain why processed foods cause acidity, what happens in your digestive system, and how you can manage these triggers while still enjoying convenience foods occasionally. First, let's look at what makes processed and packaged foods problematic. Most of these foods are high in fat, salt, sugar, and artificial additives. They are also often low in fiber, which is essential for healthy digestion. High-fat foods slow down digestion, which means your stomach continues producing acid for longer periods. This extra acid can easily flow back into the esophagus, causing the classic burning sensation of heartburn. When you combine fat with artificial additives or preservatives, it can irritate the stomach lining and make your digestive system more sensitive. Salt is another factor. Packaged foods are often loaded with sodium to enhance flavor and preserve the product. High salt intake can increase stomach acid production and irritate the stomach lining. It can also cause bloating, which puts extra pressure on the lower esophageal sphincter, the muscle that keeps acid from flowing back into the esophagus. Increased pressure means acid reflux is more likely to occur. Sugar is yet another culprit. Packaged snacks, desserts, and even ready-to-eat meals often contain hidden sugars. Sugar slows digestion, feeds harmful gut bacteria, and can lead to inflammation in the stomach. When digestion is delayed, your stomach continues producing acid, which increases the likelihood of acid reflux. Sugary foods combined with fat, like cakes, pastries, or creamy packaged desserts, are especially problematic for acidity-prone individuals. Additives, preservatives, and artificial flavors in processed foods can also irritate your stomach. Chemicals used to enhance taste or prolong shelf life may not digest as easily as natural foods. In sensitive individuals, this irritation can trigger acid production, inflammation, and sometimes bloating or nausea. Over time, regular consumption of processed foods can make your digestive system more reactive, increasing the frequency and severity of acid reflux episodes. The convenience factor also contributes to the problem. Many people rely on processed and packaged foods when they're busy, eating quickly or on the go. Eating rapidly or not, chewing food properly can cause larger pieces of food to enter the stomach, slowing digestion. Combined with high fat, sugar, and additives, this can significantly increase acid production and lead to heartburn. Eating slowly and mindfully is especially important if you consume these foods. Timing plays a role as well. Eating processed or packaged foods late at night is a common habit, but it's a major acidity trigger. When you lie down soon after eating, gravity no longer helps keep stomach contents in place, and acid is more likely to flow back into the esophagus. This is why people often wake up in the middle of the night with heartburn after having frozen meals, instant noodles, or packaged snacks for dinner. Portion size matters too. Even healthier packaged foods can trigger acidity if eaten in large quantities. Overeating in general increases pressure in the stomach, which relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter and allows acid to escape. For processed foods, which are already high in fat, sugar, and salt, large portions can overwhelm the stomach and trigger severe heartburn. Some specific examples of processed foods that commonly trigger acidity include instant noodles, chips, fries, packaged cookies, and cakes, frozen pizza, ready-to-eat meals, processed meats like sausages or cold cuts, and creamy sauces or dressings. These foods combine high fat, salt, sugar, and additives in a way that slows digestion, irritates the stomach, and promotes acid reflux. The more frequently they're consumed, the higher the risk of chronic acidity problems. So, how can you enjoy processed and packaged foods without constantly suffering from acidity? First, moderation is key. You don't need to eliminate them completely, but keep portions small and avoid frequent consumption. Second, timing matters. Avoid eating these foods right before bed and give yourself a few hours before lying down. Third, choose lower fat, lower salt, and lower sugar options whenever possible. Many brands now offer light or low-fat versions of snacks and ready-to-eat meals that are gentler on the stomach. Pairing processed foods with fiber-rich neutral foods can also help. For example, if you're eating a packaged sandwich, add fresh vegetables or a small salad. If you're having instant noodles, pair them with lightly cooked vegetables. Fiber helps slow digestion more naturally, reduces acid production, and protects the stomach lining from irritation. In conclusion, processed and packaged foods trigger acidity because they are high in fat, salt, sugar, and artificial additives while being low in fiber. They slow digestion, irritate the stomach lining, increase acid production, and put pressure on the lower esophageal sphincter. Large portions, late-night consumption, and eating quickly worsen the problem. However, with moderation, careful timing, mindful combinations with fiber-rich foods, and attention to your body's reactions, you can still enjoy the convenience and taste of processed foods without constant acid reflux or heartburn. So next time you reach for instant noodles, chips, or a ready-to-eat meal, remember these tips. Eat in moderation, pair with vegetables or fiber-rich foods, avoid late-night consumption, and be mindful of your stomach's reactions. This way, you can enjoy convenience foods without letting acidity take over your digestive comfort. And there you have it, the top 10 foods that are quietly sabotaging your digestive health and triggering acidity. From your morning coffee to that late-night snack, these everyday foods can create uncomfortable heartburn, bloating, and digestive issues if you're not careful. But here's the good news. Awareness is the first step toward change. By making small adjustments, whether it's moderating your portions, timing your meals better, or choosing alternatives, you can protect your stomach, improve digestion, and enjoy your favorite foods without the discomfort. Remember, your digestive health impacts everything: your energy, mood, sleep, and overall well-being. So don't ignore the signs your body gives you. Listen, learn, and take action. Start by identifying which of these foods affect you most and make gradual, sustainable changes. Small steps today can lead to a healthier, happier gut tomorrow. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more practical health tips, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these 10 foods surprised you the most. And if you have any personal tips for managing acidity, I'd love to hear them. Your health is your greatest wealth, and taking care of your digestive system is one of the simplest ways to boost your energy and feel amazing every day. So, take charge, make mindful choices, and watch your gut and your life transform for the better. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video for more practical, easy-to-follow health and fitness tips. Stay healthy, stay strong, and stay happy.